So like I mentioned, we're kind of jumping backwards. We've been in the Gospel of Mark, and we're in the Gospel of Mark this year all the way until Advent, but for some reason they stick these chapter 6 of John in here for 5 Sundays. And so the very first lesson was the one of Jesus, kind of a very familiar passage, feeding the 5,000. Again, it's in here 6 times in the Gospels because Mark and Matthew both have it twice. And Mark, remember, short, has very little, doesn't waste much time. So the fact that Mark includes this twice says something about how powerful of an image this was to people. And again, people were hungry. They wanted something to eat. This idea that there was this one who could feed them really touched a chord. After this, Jesus went to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, also called the Sea of Tiberias. And that's the Roman name. So it's hello, these people were colonized. Rome was the empire. They were subdued. A large crowd kept following him, Jesus, because they saw the signs that he was doing for the sick. Jesus went up the mountain and sat down there with his disciples. Now the Passover, the festival of the Jews, was near. When Jesus looked up and saw a large crowd coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, where are we to buy bread for these people to eat? He said this to test him, for he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 6 months' wages, or 200 denarii, would not buy enough bread for each of them to get a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon's Peter, said to him, and note here, I love that name Andrew. Once upon a time I named a church St. Andrew because I love this idea that it's not our job to feed everyone, it's our job to connect, right? It's our job to find the resources and bring them together and see that God's people all have enough. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon's Peter brother, said to him, there's a boy here who's got 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are they among so many people? Jesus said, make the people sit down. Now there was a great deal of grass in the place, so they sat down, about 5,000 in all. And the way Luke tells it, he's got them in companies. He's got them like in groups of 50. They're really organized. Then Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated. He doesn't bless and break and like it is in Mark, where it's more of a Eucharist. He just distributes them. So also the fish, as much as they wanted. As much as they wanted. When they were satisfied, he told his disciples, gather up the fragments left over so that nothing may be lost. So they gathered them up, and from the fragments of the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten, they filled 12 baskets, like the 12 tribes of Israel, like the 12 disciples. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they began to say, this is indeed the prophet who is to come into the world. When Jesus realized they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he withdrew again to the mountain by himself. And then it goes into the Jesus and one of the more scenes where the water is turbulent. So again, it's kind of a reminder that even when we're fed, there's often turbulence and turmoil and danger close at hand.